don't see it at the moment. Again, the velocity is broad, but
yeah, it is pretty broad, and I'm not sure. So I don't have an earpiece in, so I'm not sure if we've got me connected here. But as Parker was saying, any kind of rotation is very broad. As he's been telling you guys, you've got these greens. It's wind that's going toward the radar there in Floyd County. The red is the air that's going away. So you see very broad rotation here. This is all radar indicated for the time being. So the other thing I noticed, Parker, is that there's not a ton of lightning, not a ton of instability in the atmosphere. But one thing that we'll do really quickly is see if we have any kind of boundaries nearby in which this storm can spin. So really don't have any kind of obvious temperature boundaries. I know in previous instances in Henry County, we've seen 58 versus 38 degrees, right? And so that would be a temperature boundary in which these storms could spin a little more favorably. But the warning, according to the National Weather Service, in effect until 7 p.m. So we've got another 19 and a half minutes to the warning, unless they decide to cancel it early. But as of right now, any and all rotation is very broad, and this polygon's pretty small. So if you're watching from Ridgeway, this is to your north and west. If you're watching from areas like downtown Martinsville, you see in that little J bar that we've had some of those cameras there. I believe Martinsville is the one that's on the bottom left there. Having a hard time kind of seeing, but it looks like that's the one that is on the bottom left. So what we'd look for ordinarily is some lowering in the clouds. Don't think we're seeing a ton of that. I'll turn on the debris tracker, and what you would look for is essentially these pixels are like this kind of ball of blue. Thankfully, we're not seeing that, so that's not an indication of any kind of debris just yet. So I am just getting settled in right now, Parker. I'll have more for you here in just a little bit.
Yeah, you can toss it back to me, Amit. Thank you. So, yeah, again, this tornado warning in effect until 7 p.m. And something that I do want to note also is that we're tracking several cells just to the south of this area. So, see all this green down here? It's sort of hugging and choking off some of the moisture supply that's into the storm out of the south. So that is certainly good news. You like to see that with some of these sort of lines that build through. So all of this moisture ahead of the cell is sort of choking off that moisture and fuel supply, which is what you like to see ahead of some of these storms that get going, or some of these storms that are tornado warned in nature. So again, we are tracking this cell in effect for Patrick and Henry counties until 7 p.m. this evening. We still got about another 17 and a half minutes or so. But let's check on the velocity one more time. Let's pinpoint it. Again, still seeing it only in one direction, which is good news. We're not seeing that tight couplet of rotation, at least at the mid-levels right now. So that is certainly good news, but winds still near 40 miles per hour. Again, this cell by itself is not very large, but it is moving through at about 15 miles per hour. So if we were to track that out and where it's going, I can actually do that here in 1 second for you. We can switch back to reflectivity. Oops, switch back to reflectivity. Okay, looks like the rotation has actually broadened out a little bit. It's become less looping around this way, less sort of convex, or more convex instead of more concave. So what that means is that the storm is more in a straight line rather than hooking around. So that's some good news. That's what we like to see. Still lots of shear embedded in this cell by itself. So that is certainly good news, or not good news. That's why the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning, because there is high shear. Let's go ahead, track the hail again. No hail associated with this cell. So once again, good news. We're seeing that rotation brought out just a little bit. And again, moving at about 15 miles per hour. If we were to take the center of this cell and build it out to where it would be going within the next couple of minutes, let's see here. It would hit Stella in about 4 minutes, Pleasant Grove 25, Dillon's Fork also about 25 minutes, Preston and Panel Fork about 26, 27 minutes or so. So this cell is building through at about 15 miles per hour, going to continue to track off towards the north and towards the east into Henry County here very, very shortly. I believe it's just west of the Patrick and Henry County lines. Yep, there it is right here. So within the next couple of minutes, it will be building through into Henry County and getting closer to western areas of Martinsville. But at the moment, the rotation's still fairly broad, still watching it. If there were a tornado on the ground, it would be heading right for Stella at this moment. Again, the rotation is fairly broad, fairly weak at this time, which is fantastic news. That's what we like to see. Chris, I believe this is, let's see. Okay. Oh. Yeah, the rotation is fairly broad now, which is good. That's good news. It's actually looked the weakest it has since we've been on the air. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
In fact, yes, it's just kind of on that note, literally, as you said that, Parker, the National Weather Service, they haven't let it expire yet, but they did say, Ben Groover is actually a friend of mine at the Weather Service, says weakening continues, as you just said.
Okay.
He said he's going to watch it for a few more minutes to make sure the trend continues and then let the warning expire. So I don't know if they're going to do that right at 7 or they're going to do that at 6:50 or within the next few minutes. So in the meantime, if you're in places like Stanleytown or Fieldale, you know how you're on 220. Let's say you're coming northbound out of Henry County and you've got that speed limit change that goes from 65 to 45. I think there's the Dodge's Fried Chicken and there's the gas station across the street. There's the Food Lion. That's the kind of area that we're talking about in Henry County. So if you're in that spot, just for now, make sure you're in the lowest part of your house. That's the green. That's where we want you to go. In the upper part of your house, not necessarily where you want to be. That's why we've got that coded red. So again, just for the time being, tornado warning in effect for the next 14 minutes. But as the National Weather Service has said, and as Parker has said, the trend is that the rotation continues to weaken. I'll give you a better idea of the live look of Martinsville. You can kind of see those in the bar on the left-hand side of your screen. Nothing that's really ominous or really sticking out to me from the New College Institute Skycam. Ordinarily, when you're looking at rotating thunderstorms, you want to see kind of this wall cloud, kind of an extension of the thunderstorm at the base that maybe will start to spin. Not seeing anything like that just yet, but this is a part of the area that is maybe a little more prone to tornadoes than others. There's Patrick County, there's Henry County, and over the past 70 years or so, they average one every 10 years. Again, there's no indication that one is on the ground. And let's see, Ben from the Weather Service is going to go ahead and send out the final statement on it. It has continued to weaken. So the final statement indicating, Parker, that they are going to let this warning expire. So I'll toss things back to you for your final thoughts.
Okay, yeah, so the rotation has actually broadened out, which is fantastic news. So that means, you know, if there were anything on the ground here, it's no longer a threat, as the sort of rotation is way up in the mid levels and upper levels of the atmosphere, so no longer reaching the surface. But when this thing does expire, I still want to remind you that there are some pretty strong winds associated with this cell by itself. Let's have a look at the broader picture at the moment and sort of show you what's going on and what we're tracking across the region before this thing does hopefully expire very, very soon. There it goes. It actually just expired just a second ago. Still dealing with some very, very heavy rain across parts of the south side. Still very, very windy. Could be some light hailstones embedded in some of these cells. But as we continue to track this sort of complex system of cells throughout the next couple of hours, just be mindful that a tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warning could pop, as we still do have an environment that is conducive for the development of some of these cells. And with that, the tornado warning has expired, so let's send you back to regular programming.